The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team. Looking for tips on selling your home? Tune in to the Charlie Butler Show right here on WGBF AM every Sunday at 9 a.m. The Charlie Butler Show, where your questions get answers. Charlie guarantees it.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Show, soon to be known as the Charlie Butler Menagerie, it looks like here. But as always, I'm joined today by my three co-hosts. And to my left, from Churchill Mortgage, and also a great sponsor, is David Crow. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie. Good morning, everyone. And it's still January, so we're going to keep saying Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Absolutely. It's just we're just 2 weeks in. Right to David's left on your radio dial, if you're looking. I guess it'd be right on your radio if you're looking that way. But
Charlie's too early in the morning.
No, I am lost already. I don't know where
Good
we
morning.
Yeah,
Good morning.
Anyone have a compass?
It's Colleen Page. Colleen, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Oh, I don't know.
You start talking about left and right, and what's that song? Stuck in the middle with you, and I got the Joker on my left, or what is that?
Here I am.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to my right.
Hey, there we go. That's what we should.
They're not Tom Page.
No, it's Steelers Wheel.
Steelers Wheel.
Yep.
You're
just reminded me
You're too
of
young
that.
for this, Jordan. I mean, you didn't.
Hashtag music nerds.
Yes. Kylena is stuck in the middle between our guest today, Mindy Woodward, who is the foreclosure expert of the Charlie Butler team.
Good morning.
And a repeat guest, and who always has some interesting stories, you might say.
Yes, it's kind of like being in The Godfather. You just keep pulling me back in.
I also, I've got to be careful of some of your story now that we're broadcast all over the world. Some of your asset managers could accidentally hear some of the things we say about
Yeah, we have to be a little careful, just so we're not talking about them specifically.
Change the names.
and we have stuck her off in the corner today. But the
Again.
The president of the Butler DeArmond Real Estate Network, Candace DeArmond. How's it going today, Candace?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing good. I think.
You got your compass out.
I got my compass out.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Not your moral compass, but your other one.
I lost my moral compass
A long time ago.
a while back. You probably remember how long ago that's been.
I'm only 29, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Whoa, now hang on. You were a long way from 30 last week.
Just a week ago.
Oh,
But it is a new year, but
It is.
I don't know.
New
It was a new year
year,
last
old
week.
me with bad math. I don't know. That's it.
Candace is not blonde, even though
No.
that kind of sounded like it. But
Yeah.
So, David, we talked last week. We had a temporary blip up in interest rates with the Treasury, but we're pretty. I think you're pretty optimistic about how the year's going to go.
Oh, I'm very optimistic. No question. Rates are going to continue to improve. I ended out 2023 talking about how we kind of stabilized. And we did. We ran it up. And sometimes I quote national, numbers that people got help them to see on Good Morning America, Today's Show, and that's their only source of information, which isn't accurate. Sorry. Or it's very late for what the reality is. So we stabilized in 2023, especially fourth quarter. And we're seeing the trend as we start 2024 easing down. And if you've listened to us over the weeks and months and so forth, I said it's going to, and it's going to continue. And we touched on it last week. And it is a great time to buy a home if you're blessed and fortunate enough to find a home that fits your needs.
Yep.
And I continue to stress that it's a temporary payment. Because we know rates are going to continue to improve and refinancing is going to occur for folks. It just is. And so right now we just need more homes on the market. So all those people that are debating on listing their home, we're past the holidays. It's a great time to call someone on the Charlie Butler team to come out, take a look at your home and get that home on the market. And hopefully you've got a place to go to next. That's always a question you great realtors have to answer and help them with is finding the next location.
If not, Charlie has room, right?
There we go.
There we go.
You can move in with Charlie.
Yeah. And I know Candace has had that situation recently.
A lot of people move in with her?
No, not with well. I didn't mean
Well.
that. I didn't. That was not where I was going with that.
New year, new me.
No, where I was going as we move right along is you've had some situations I know recently where you've got people who want to buy,
Yeah.
but there is either
They
no
can't
place
find anything.
they can't find anything.
And so, therefore, they can't sell the house they have. I had a lady who she had a lot of interest on her house, but the house that she was in the process of buying was a contingent offer, contingent upon her house. And before we could get people into her house and get an offer, they got a non-contingent offer on the house she was buying, and she had to pull hers from the market until we find something else.
Absolutely. It's
Because
happening all the
she said,
time.
I don't know where
Yes.
I'm going to go, So, yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
Things will eventually loosen up. And the reality is, and I've said it before, you've got 83% of all people who have a mortgage on a single family residence, if you will, it starts with a 2, a 3, or 4. And these people have just been resistant. They're staying put right now. But as rates continue to move down and creep down, that window doesn't look as big as it did before when we were talking about rates being over 8 as a nation. And so they're going to start making the move, and things will continue to loosen up. But we talked about it last week with Jeff Bossy. Sometimes you have deaths, so they're not worried about somebody moving. So homes, we just need more homes on the market to let things start taking its natural course of buyers and sellers moving forward.
And some of the people, and Candace, I know you can speak to this too, but as can Kylena, but some of the people who aren't confident right now, we deal with 2 large builders, and they're building. In fact, Candace and I are negotiating a large development deal right now, and they're building as much as they can.
Right.
Both of them are.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're starting new subdivisions. So there's a lot of confidence there. So that would tell me to get your home on the market.
yeah, it would me too.
And builders have been the pathway. I mean, for the last, especially the last 2 years, and I've touched on it in the past. It started in 2012. Now we're going on 14 years ago. I can remember January of 2012.
Yeah, we'll be going on 12 years.
12 years. I'm not good with math. I need you girls to help me with math.
We'll help you, David.
So
It's
thank you.
okay. You just sit there and brush
We
your
can
hair.
explain it to you.
Got to feel the love.
I know, yeah.
But
Yes, it's hard.
It started in 2012. The National Home Builders Association looked at every builder in the nation, and after the Great Recession, and said, "You're not building enough homes. Not enough permits are being pulled. We need you guys to build more homes." Which you had a lot of nervous builders that were like, "Well, it's easy for you to say." After the past 4 years we lived through,
We're fending off bankruptcy.
exactly. And so it happened every year, whether it was in Las Vegas or Orlando with the International Home Builders Convention. And every year they would say, "You have not pulled enough permits. You're not building enough homes. You have to do more. You have to do more." And in 2020, when rates dropped to 3s and then down into 2s, whatever that number is, because I'm not real good at math, but we'll say somewhere around 8 years of not building enough homes, it reared its head. And there were not, and still have not been enough homes on the market, which is now leading to the builders trying to ramp up as much as possible the homes which are out there. But it's, one of your builders, I know you were talking in the low 200s or something, or below 200. It's phenomenal with new construction cost and so forth that they're delivering a home around that price point.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Rhinebeck Homes has got a product that, Kylena, you just recently sold one.
Yeah, that one will close Friday. So that one was a USDA eligible property, 3-bed, 2-bath, attached garage, brand new, and that one was a little over the 2, but we were in Chandler, but that one was a nice one.
Right.
Awesome.
Oh, well, I guess just while it pops in my mind before it pops back out again, not that ever happens with me, of course, but you should hear a conversation sometime between Candace DeArmond and myself. Yeah.
Mindy's shaking her head.
Mindy Woodward is shaking her head no.
If you have ADD of any kind, stay away.
But our sponsors, David Crow and the great company that he's with, Churchill Mortgage, if you're looking for a home loan, looking to refi, call David at.
Easiest way to get me a cell phone, 270-222-0600. 888-866-9676.
And as we say every week, they've been on Dave Ramsey for over 25 years. And I know if you listened before us, you heard him on Dave. But that number on Dave, while there's great people in Brentwood, that won't get you to David and get you the personalized service that we talk about, and I think we all want.
Absolutely. Thanks, Charlie. Yes, I'm here to help in southern Indiana, western Kentucky. That's the personal side. Now, I do loans all over the state of Indiana and the state of Kentucky, and maybe started my first one in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So that's I do loans in Florida, but that hasn't been as big a deal over the last year or so. So we'll see what 2024 brings.
Yep.
And, of course, those that listened last week heard Jeff Bossy on here. They have been a longtime sponsor, the good folks at Bossy Title, probably the most knowledgeable title people in town. People like Jeff Bossy, Kelly Norton, Claire Kincaid, and I'm leaving people out. And, of course, Norm. We can't forget about Norm. You can go to Norm's Instagram page and see some great photos.
Content, right?
Kylena, what was Norm's Instagram page?
It
Candace
is Norm
down there thinking about a way that she can make money off of Lenny now.
I'm looking at Lenny.
It's
like,
Norm
I don't know.
_CFO
Okay.
on Instagram.
Norm _
Norm _CFO.
Yes.
Chief Frenchie Officer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Norm is a French bulldog, by the way, just so you don't call and ask for Norm. He hangs out there and he'll come out and see you in the lobby. So, yeah, but call the good folks at Bossy Title. And we have, I almost said Malinsky. I still do. I've known her for many years.
You've known me long enough.
Yeah,
I've been
it's,
several last names.
Mindy Woodward, who is our longtime 20 years plus foreclosure specialist.
I'm the OG.
That's right.
And so Mindy always has some entertaining stories. But besides the stories, Mindy, what are you seeing in the foreclosure market right now?
So this is what I see now. Big respect to my cohorts here that do a lot of residential. What I see in the market is homes that sold less than a year ago that are going back on the market for whatever reason. I'm seeing a lot of people at the edge financially, whether it's because of job changes, increasing gas prices, everything in the world is going up. And I think there's a lot of people that are not changing their lifestyle in order to adjust to that.
Right.
Since COVID, like when COVID hit in 2020, foreclosures just stopped. So now that everything is back moving, there's a huge backlog of houses that a lot of these national banks don't really know what to do with. So they're slowly bringing them back on the market. So it's taken a while. Like there are some that have been vacant for many years. It's taken a while, but they are slowly coming back on the market.
So, Mindy, why do they leave these houses vacant for so many years?
I mean, every bank that I have worked with has their own process and things that they have to do in order to get it sold. It has to go through the court system. Then it has to go back to their certain department. And then they have a certain asset manager that handles it. There's a lot of red tape. And it just takes a very long time.
It's always seemed very inefficient.
It is. And especially after 2008, when a lot of the banks got hundreds upon hundreds of houses back at one time, they said, okay, wait a minute. We're going to try to figure out what to do. And so it's been taking a lot longer.
I always figured in 2008, the banks, in 2009, the banks figured we can't put them on the market because we have so many, we would destroy the real estate
Absolutely.
market.
It would completely have tanked the real estate market.
More so than
it did already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like as an example, I talked to an asset manager about 2 years ago who said that herself had 1,600 houses in her pipeline.
That were in some stage of foreclosure.
Yes.
When you say that like
Yes.
that. So you're talking about they were in some form or stage of the process of being foreclosed and
Yeah.
slowly brought into the marketplace.
Yes, and
that
that's
was just
one person.
One person had
Yes.
that many. I know you mentioned, and you and I had spoken sometime in 2023 with COVID and the federal mandate where banks and companies could not foreclose, could not move people out. It really did just almost bring to a close the foreclosure market. Because if I'm saying that correct,
Yes.
but please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. It pretty well stopped everything because part of the end process is you have to go to court in whatever county that you're in. Well, the courts were closed. Everything was shut down. Nobody could do anything. And what I have learned in this industry, if someone is not completely vested in their property, they're going to do whatever they want. So what I see, since that has happened, there's more houses coming on the market that are probably in worse condition than I have ever seen.
Really?
Yes, from repairs, trash, just completely dilapidated.
So, Mindy, I'm curious, as an investor, even though I do home loans, the condition in which you bring these homes on into the market, what level of cleanup, repair work does the asset manager want done to the home prior to the home going up for sale to the general population?
For the most part, it's anything that they consider like safety. So what I mean by that is if I go into a home and it's completely full of trash and debris, and
Right.
you cannot walk through that, they're going to have all that cleaned out.
So you're going to hire somebody come in there.
Right.
And,
They're going to
and just
hire somebody,
bring
field
the
service,
skid dumpster.
whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and clean it.
Okay.
Have the locks changed. If there's windows that are broke, they'll have those boarded over. But that's pretty well it.
But David, they'll do what I'll just put it where what I think it's silly stuff. For example, I remember Mindy had a foreclosure. I believe it was over on Sweetser. They're off Green River. I'm pretty sure it was you that had. And we went in there. It was in pretty good shape. Wasn't bad. Had a basement. So bank just turned the power off.
I've heard of
And
these
so-
situations. Keep going.
Oh, yes, I do remember that
And
one. Yeah.
so, this house, investors would give for it. We'd already talked to one, and it just wasn't on the market yet, but he was ready.
Right.
In the meantime, it rains. Of course, the sump pump can't run.
Because it turned the power off. Part of
Right.
the process.
And
Right.
So there's mold gets in there. He bought it for half of what he was willing to give for it because of that.
Yes. And then he's going to take on all the remediation and so forth. But
yeah.
it goes back to, like you said, the process. And it goes back to these large companies, we'll just say a company. When you've got 1,600 homes, you've got that process and the one deal, well, we'll leave the power on with this one, but we want these and so forth. So that blanket process really doesn't work in the market. But in your case, Charlie, an investor really got to steal, especially like many of these investors. They've got people lined up to be able to go in there and attack these situations.
Right, and they know what they're
efficiently.
dealing with.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but as far as the average, I gotta say this, you have 1,600 in the one example we just discussed.
Sure.
So when those homes come on the market, you're basically, for all of our government buyers out there, those FHA, USDA, VA, these homes probably aren't going to pass those inspection appraisals.
I was going there Candace, I'm sure, and I know you do too, Kylena. You get these people that call you, whether it be a foreclosure, looks like it's a good deal, and they're going to live there and fix it up.
Yeah.
How do you handle that with and I'd hate to say a normal homeowner?
You mean as far as they think that they're going to get financed and live there and
finance,
fix
and
it up?
they're going to fix it up. How do you guide them? I guess is where I'm going with that.
If they're going to get financed, I try and educate them, but I immediately say, you have to talk to a lender, because they seem to trust the lender a little bit more whenever I'm telling them that. Because sometimes whenever I say, you can't get a loan for this
Candace, you're doing the 100% correct pathway. For the we're not talking investor, we're talking about the average home buyer that's wanting to buy their home, and because they call me, and they're like, "Hey, this home's on the market for 150, but there's some stuff that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Can I get an extra 30 or 40,000?" And so, and I'll just kind of chime in here. Certain circumstances, it'll work out. But I'm going to let you know, folks, with Churchill Mortgage, we have a renovation department. It's called for renovation loans. And if somebody calls me, and I'm very blunt, I want to say this on the air, I have to turn them over to a renovation loan specialist.
Right.
Because I've got over 20 years in this industry. The average loan officer that has never dealt with what's required for the person who is going to get approved for this loan.
Right.
Because a lot don't get approved for this loan. For those, so you have to hand it over to somebody that is all they do every day is work with these type of buyers, work with their subcontractors, get everything lined up and so forth. The average loan officer who says, oh, I'll try and do this one. I haven't done one before. Good luck.
And that's
Right.
doing the client like a disservice.
The client is truly. So I have even, not at Churchill Mortgage, we're great in a lot of areas. I had a gentleman in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, call me last week. And I understand his wanting to buy at $30,000-$40,000 and wanting to put $50,000 into it type situation. I'm quick to also, depending on what county and state they're in, that is actually what local banks with local risk are good for in that situation. And I truthfully, in his personal situation, and I'm not going to say the bank on the name, I told him to call 2 different local banks in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, because it's not a great situation that most mortgage companies even want to try and dive into.
Right.
But Candace, I'm glad you brought it up because the average person thinks it's real easy to get a loan to buy and also have all this money set aside
to do the repairs that are needed.
And the reality is, I can tell you, any
It's
loan
not.
officers listening to us right now, they're shaking their head going, no, it's not. No, it's not. Life has changed, and it's really changed after COVID with the lending restrictions, the supply
Changed
chain.
after 08 too.
Well, it changed after 08 as well. But even so many places, they want a general contractor over it. And many of these people, your clients, they're like, no, I can do the work myself.
Right.
Which,
Yeah.
Mindy.
Yeah.
So we're all sitting around here going, I understand why they are asking, but the reality is it is not an easy process.
No, it's not.
And I wish them the best, but I'll be the first to say I turn them over to our renovation department as I should.
Yeah. I think getting them to a lender, to speak to a lender that can explain all of this to them, because really whenever I say, oh, you don't want that, they think that, oh, she just doesn't know how to do anything. So she thinks this is,
It's kind of like talking to David, where David says,
yeah. That or they think,
I'll
well,
go
she
real
just
slow.
wants right, yeah. Or they think, well, I can get this one for $150, and she just wants to sell me one for $200, and that's not the case.
Nope.
I know that it's a
This
lot
is
more
a
than
lot
what they
more.
are.
That's why
they're
the
aware
investor
of.
side with Mindy, the guys who have the lines of credit lined up,
Yeah.
and they have these things, they have that line of credit. They're able to step in on some of these very challenging properties.
I mean, you
Yes.
just never know what you're going to get. But I will give David props. He did a loan on a house of mine last year in Henderson
yes.
that I was like, ooh, I don't know. This house, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but the house had some issues.
Yes.
And I mean, it went through, it closed super smooth, and the lady was super ecstatic about it.
And do you know I'm friends with her on Facebook, and right here at the end of December, she's posting all kinds of photos of her home and how thrilled she is. And for her, it has been nothing but a blessing.
That's amazing. I love
but
that.
she understood the challenges, as you just put it.
Yeah.
That
It had some
the home
issues.
had. You did.
It had some issues.
But it all worked out well, and she's thrilled. And so
Good
I just
deal.
saw her at the end of December on Facebook with pictures of her home.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So one thing before we run out of time here, Mindy, your stories. I mean,
Goodness, me and my
it's been a
stories.
few- It's been a few months since you've been on, so let's see. I'm trying to think of some new things that we got.
Princeton House. House in Princeton.
The house in Princeton.
Oh, the house in Princeton with all the roaches.
Kylena, you want to start this story since you were the first one to go up there?
Okay, so our team is known to work with a lot of investors, and so we do have a presence in the community where they know that big or small, like we can
Right.
move that house. So I had gotten a phone call on the team line actually, and it was a situation where they needed to sell the house. It was her mother's house, and they no longer were in Indiana; they were in Texas. So she was kind of preparing me that the house wasn't move-in ready, but they needed to sell. Well, I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's take a look. And the condition was a lot worse than even she had realized. Her brother had lived there, and it was a mess. And I recorded some video footage, and I shuddered and told Mindy,
But didn't you?
The crunching.
The crunch.
Please go into the crunch.
Yeah, so
the crunchy out, Kylie.
So I'm a country girl. I grew up around, in the country,
Colleen grew up in
cornfields.
Ridgeway, Illinois, for those, the popcorn capital of the world.
So I was like, all right, let's do this. But my take on a listing is very hands-on. Let me see what I can do. Let me clean it. Let me stage it, or at least clean the mirror off or something. And I walked in.
I don't do any of that.
And there was dog feces everywhere, the moving bugs everywhere, walls, floors. I open up the cabinet, and if you have ever opened up a package of saltine crackers and you hear that, it was roaches falling out, pouring out of the cabinet. I closed my mouth and just tried to make sure that my shoes would not, there was bugs and stuff everywhere. And so, I'm optimistic. I want to see how we can help, get this on the market. And I ended up calling you, Charlie, and I'm like, it's not good. It's terrible.
I told you what to do.
And so then Mindy was like, wonderful. She heard it. She said, it's bad. She said, I love it. The worse the better. Give it here. So I handed it over, and it was Mindy's baby, and she.
You want to take over from there,
yeah,
Mindy?
So I go up there, and I was like, okay, I see a lot of things. And so I was like, okay, dead roaches, okay, dog feces.
I'm glad they were dead for you at the time.
Yeah, they were dead, finally. Took pictures, got with the owner, and I'm like, hey, I think you can probably, if you get 25 out of it. And she was a little upset, but I understand, she's been dealing with this house, and nobody lives there, and someone is supposed to take care of it and all that. So we signed the paperwork to get it on the market. She emails me that night. Well, we think we could sell it for $50. And I was like, I don't know. I said, but here's the deal. Remember the discussion that we had price-wise? If it doesn't sell for that, you agree to reduce it. We put it on the market. It went pending in one day.
Woo!
One day to an investor that was just going to fix it up and rent it. And before that, I was putting the sign in the yard and ended up showing it to the neighbor because he wanted a house for his daughter. So now I got a client out of that. So we can
so
sell
it's a
them all.
win-win. Yeah.
Okay, we got 1 minute left. Is there another good story from the mafia guy? He wasn't not really a mafia guy.
So I have a asset manager who sounds like he's out of The Sopranos. Whenever he calls me, it's like, hey, Mindy, so we got this house, right? And he has a house that had water in the basement, and we can't get the utilities on because you can't get to the basement because there was 4 foot of water. We've had the dementia lady. We've had houses full of trash.
Well, you've got a combination schoolhouse, church.
I have a church, schoolhouse listed currently.
That one's
Isn't
actually
that your
really
second
cool.
time having that one? Or
Yeah,
no?
it's the second time.
That's what I thought.
I had it
Yeah.
listed, then it got sold to the PMI company, then they gave it back to me. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, we didn't save enough time for stories. We'll have to come back to that. But, Candace, how can they get a hold of you?
They can call me on my cell phone, 812-455-6338, or on the team phone, 812-430-1708.
Way to go, Candace.
All right.
Mindy, how can they get a hold of you?
812-483-1309.
Kylena, if anyone with crunchy roaches, who should they call?
Well, they can call the team line. They can call me, and I will refer it to my bestie, Mindy. We will take care of you,
but for other needs.
Yes, for other needs. And I just want to say real quick, that's the beauty of having special.
Yes,
if I would have tried to take that on my own, that would not have been in the client's best
Now,
interest.
Candace,
I couldn't even watch the video without showering.
And I wanted
I
to help, but in that situation, it wouldn't have did any good for me to do all the things that I usually do.
Yeah,
And
Candace
Mindy
and
knows
Kylena
that.
will come in and stage your house and make it look nice.
Yeah.
Mindy won't.
I won't. I fully admit it. I will not.
So, Kylena, what's your cell number?
It's 812-746-2954.
David, how can they get a home loan?
Home loan 270-222-0676.
Or you can call Charlie Butler at 812-499-7708. Jordan, we're out of time again. I didn't get time to give you any advice today. So for Candace Jarman, Mindy Woodward, Kylena Page, David Crow, and our great producer Jordan Rose, this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
You've got real estate questions but don't know where to get the answers? Tune in here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. as Charlie Butler, Evansville's own real estate expert, shares the latest news, info, and insider tips to help you make smart real estate decisions. Find him online at charliebutlerteam.com. This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is Newstalk 1280 WGBF.